Welcome back here to Yambai Talk, Papua New Guinea. My name is Ryan. We're heading down to Madang today. 45-minute flight. Looks like it's going to be absolutely stellar all the way. So today's flight, I'm going to be showing you guys how I actually figure out how much fuel I need on all my flights. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Igniter's on, fuel pump on, everything's back. So I'm looking at my ITT, bringing it down to 200. Over 14% NG. Then reduce our fuel. Watch the ITT coming up, look at my NG, make sure it's over 30, 35, and then back up at the ITT, and 683. Generator on, prop forward, V2 track on. Once our amps are coming back down, alternator on. Everything spike for a second, and then throw our auxiliary bus on. We have 950 pounds of fuel on board and nothing else. So our takeoff weight's 5610. Come on down here and we'll be rotating at 64 and 55 if we get to come back in. 64 and 55. Because I have low fuel, but that's just because I'm on a hill. Turn this up to 11,000. Caps and selectors, good. Turn TAWs off for takeoff. Our switches and instruments, everything up here is set up properly. Our T's and P's, our temperatures and pressures are all in the green. Go 20 degrees of flap, start getting my trim. We're gonna bring our trim all the way over to the right for the rudder trim. And then my elevator trim, that looks pretty good where it is. Flaps are set, indicated and verified at 20 degrees. No radar on this airplane today. We're going to be 40 knots by that little hut on the right up there. For not, we can just abort on the runway. After takeoff, we'll pitch for 85 knots. Consider EPL, left hand to lower terrain. Consider feather. Then cut off, pull off, and shut off. 85, then 80 full flaps. Emergencies, masters, and crack my door. Ignition and lights are done. High idle, we're 35. I don't think it's actually 35. I bet it's more like 30 here. We're sea level, so 1540, 1590. Ignition, condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Let's see if we can get a hold of Moresby. Moresby 65908, November Tango Kilo, departure. Correction, taxi.
November Tango Kilo Moresby, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo taxi, Yambai Talk, Madang, 1 POV.
And November Tango Kilo, Intensity Photo Charlie Alpha Delta 7, cruising operations, 1.6 miles radius of Compare area, Norwa Beta.
Copy traffic, November Tango Echo, or correction, Kilo. Alright, ignition, condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses, 1540. Side slopes, I'm going to go full right rudder, or right aileron, and right rudder. Make sure my brake is off. 1540. Oh, a little slippery, we're going. Alright, there is airborne. Did not want to go straight on that one. We'll make sure IGT just stays at 740 for takeoff. Let's bring it down just a tiny bit. We need to actually go that way today. Let's see how we're climbing out. Yeah, we can turn. We're light enough that we can.
500.
Thank you.
500.
Alright, so we'll just head up the Jimmy Valley and continue our climb up the Jimmy Valley, hop over the mountains, and then up to 11,000 for Madang. Over 85 knots and
500.
Climbing. We'll go 10 degrees of flap. We'll go 0 degrees and bring our prop to 2,000 RPM. Just gonna let my ITD sit there for a second and see if it comes on back down all the way down to 720. If not, then we'll adjust it here in a second. But let's get our igniters off, bypass to normal, and landing light off. We're pitching up probably to around 11 degrees or so and get our best rate of climb at 720. So you can see I haven't even touched anything and my ITD's settled on down at 720 now, and it might even go down a little bit lower. Moresby 65908, November Tango Kilo departure.
November Tango Echo, correction, November Tango Kilo, must we go ahead?
November Tango Kilo departed Yombai Talk 30, tracking 019er on climb 1000. Estimating Madang 14.
November Tango Kilo, November 1000, no additional reported traffic, confirm estimate Madang time 14.
Affirm 14, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo.
All stations, Yombai Talk 128.5, November Tango Kilo, Kodiak departed Yombai Talk from Madang on climb 1000. Basically what I'm going to do is just track along this brown, which is just mountains, until I can get over top of them, and then we'll hop over into the Ramu Valley. By then we should be up to 11,000. I wanted to talk to you guys about how I determine, how I figure out how much fuel I need for all my flights, because some flights I'm only going to 7,000, like my last one out to Yombai Talk. Now I'm going to 11,000, and then I'm going to be heading on up to Goroka at 10,000. So at different altitudes, the plane actually burns less fuel, and the higher you go, the less fuel you burn. So we want to be able to get the most amount of cargo on board. So if you were just to use some generic number, like 320 at all scenarios, and you're actually shortchanging yourself on how much cargo you can actually bring along. So it's really important you know how much you need, not only the fact that you want to make sure you have enough, depending on the weather, but just so you can get as much cargo on board for whoever you're flying. So for these legs that I just did, I flew from Wewak out to Yombai Talk, which is 35-minute flight. Now I'm going down to Madang, which is 44 minutes, and then up to Goroka, which is 25 minutes. So, like I said, we've got 35 minutes from Wewak out to Yombai Talk. Because that's only up to 7,000 feet, and it's basically for 35 minutes, I'm going to be burning basically equivalent to 320 pounds per hour. So what I do is I times it by 5.3. So let me just write that number down. How I came up with 5.3, if you're wondering. So how I did that was I took 320 pounds divided by 60 minutes is 5.333. So basically, if my flight is 30 minutes and under, then I do it at 320 pounds per hour, or times 5.3 by whatever minutes it is. If it's between a half hour and 1 hour, more than likely, I'm probably going to be going up to probably 10, 11,000, maybe even 12,000, but probably anywhere from like 9 to 10 or something like that. I'm going to times it by 5.16, which is 310 pounds per hour. And if it's over an hour, like an hour and maybe up to an hour and a half, I'll do 300 pounds per hour. And then if it's more than an hour and a half, like 2 hours, like all the way out to Hoskins, then I'll times it by like 4.9 instead of just 5. So what would that be? 4.9 times 60 is 294 pounds per hour. Oh, that's what I'm going to do. So I've already came up with 185 for my first leg. The second leg's 44 minutes. So I'm going to times that by 5.16, or equivalent to 310 pounds. We'll just round that up to 230. And then I've got a leg from Madang up to Goroka, which is 25 minutes. Times that by 5.3, or 320 pounds. It's 130. Oh, let's go 130 for Goroka leg, plus this leg at 230, plus my first leg at 185. Okay, equals 545. Now, I also add on 30 pounds per circuit. Yombai Talk's a circuit, Madang's a circuit, but when I come into Goroka, I'm not going to count that as a circuit because I come straight into a base to final. So let's add 2 circuits, 30 each, there's 60. I came up with 605, but that's just enough to get me where I want to go. So now I want to land with an hour reserve. That's what we do here. The reason why we do an hour is because, well, weather changes here so fast, and an hour is our VFR reserve for our company. So what I can do is add 320 to that. It's up to 925 for my VFR, basically. All right. Now, if I want to, if there's potential weather down in Madang, or if I'm getting into Goroka a little bit later in the afternoon and there's potential for some weather, I'm going to want my IFR reserve, which is another half hour on top of that. So add another 160 pounds to that, which is basically 1,090 pounds. I'll just round that up to the next one. And that's what I would fill up. All right, we're now leveling off at 11,000 feet. I'm going to wait for my airspeed to get all the way up to 130. Put a little bit of left rudder pressure in, center up that ball, or not really a ball, but a line on this one. Once I got my speed up, I'm at 11,000 feet. I'm all trimmed out. We're going to bring our torque back on down. We'll bring it back to 1270, and then we'll let it sit there and make some fine adjustments to get it up to 1250. I'm going to prop back 10 RPM. There we go. And we'll just leave it at 1250, 2000 RPM for the remainder of the flight. As long as our ITT is below 700 for cruise, that's all I care about. All right, so I also have one extra factor that you have to add in. And I did think about this earlier because I did the same flight out here, and that's going to be a headwind. So I've got 15 knots of headwind. So now basically my ground speed right here, my true airspeed is what I typically go at if I had 0 wind. You can see I'm 13 knots under what my typical true airspeed would be, typically 160. We do all of our calculations at 160 knots true airspeed. Okay, so that's basically going to add a few minutes to this leg. If you went with your bare minimum VFR, there's a good chance you're going to show up in Madang, or in Goroka with like probably about 20 pounds less than you were thinking of. And if you have bare minimum, then that's not always a great scenario, especially if you have extra, flying around to do or maneuvering around clouds. Let's just say it's minus 15, because it looks like it is now. So typically, we're thinking we're going to go at 160. We're coming in at 145. This leg is 110 nautical miles. Let's take 110 nautical miles divided by 145, which comes out to be 0.75. 0.75 times 60 is equal to 45 minutes. So on my chart, we've got this leg is supposed to be 44 minutes, but that also includes about a 3-minute for climb and stuff. So basically, it's going to take equivalent to 4 extra minutes. So if I take 4 minutes times 320, or basically 320 pounds per hour, or correction, this leg is going to be 0.516, which is 310 pounds. I know it's confusing. It's basically an extra 20 pounds that I need. So realistically, I need about 1,210 pounds for this full leg to land in Goroka with 480 pounds of fuel, which is an hour and a half of fuel. In short, that is how we figure out our fuel and how we do all of our legs, because each leg is a different altitude, a different time, so our fuel burn's different. And it sounds confusing at first, but after you do it every day a million times, it's not that hard. All right, we're 45 miles out. This is a great time to go ahead and check our ATIS, 127.8.
Time 0034 Zulu, runway 07, wind variable 3 knots, visibility 10 kilometers or more, haze, cloud, view 2,000 feet, QNH 1012, temperature and viewpoints not available, Caution, runway 25 threshold displaced by 880 meters, available length 700 meters, bird strike hazard exists. Shipard Wharf, Derek height 100 meters.
All right. Information Delta 1012, which is the same one that we're already flying on. And we'll start up our descent here in a minute. So let's go ahead and put our profile in down to, let's say, just 500 feet. Because we're going to be kind of coming in almost as a straight in. So really we can even turn this all the way down just to sea level. And we're going to do 800 feet per minute, which is nearly our top of descent now. Because we're almost there, I'm going to go ahead and turn my altitude select all the way down to sea level. So that when Betty lets me know it's time to go down, I can get my autopilot set up pretty quick.
Vertical track.
All right, that's time to go down. Vertical speed and altitude. Turn it down to 800. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave my power set where it is. It was at 1200 or 1250, and that torque number will just continue to increase all the way down to sea level, as well as my airspeed. So as I get closer to sea level, there's a chance, well, probably will have to pull that back a little bit. Just because my airspeed is going to get all the way up into the 170s, and the max airspeed is 182 on this plane. All right, you're 25 miles out of Madang. Let's go ahead and call them. Madang Tower, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Madang Tower, go ahead.
Good morning, November Tango Kilo, 25 miles to the west, passing 7,800. Your circuit time, 13, information Delta.
November Tango Kilo, roger, requesting your track inbound.
093.
November Tango Kilo, roger, possible traffic surrender Hotel Bell 2060 Pilot Madang for Katiati, that's in the Josephsthal area. Tracking correction departed 50, tracking 293 below 5,000, and estimating Katiati at 25.
Copy, Sierra Hotel November Tango Kilo.
And please track straight in for runway 07 and report again on final.
Pretty good final, straight in 07, November Tango Kilo. Let's go ahead and start up our checklist. Our fuel selectors, we'll turn it on now. Let's just stop our timer. And our brakes, just checking to make sure they feel nice and firm. In case one of them lost some hydraulic fluid, it would be really spongy feeling. Our TAWs will leave enabled. Our VREF, we are empty, or 5,300 pounds, so 63 knots for our approach speed. Flip our landing light on at this point. Bring it back to the main page, and you can see that blue arc right there. That means I'm going to get to my altitude of sea level past Madang. So I'm going to increase my descent down to 900 feet per minute, bring that closer. All right, that's with 900. Let's kind of bounce between 8 and 850. We're going to go one more notch, bring it on down a little bit more. As you can see, we started at 1250. I've even brought my power back just a little bit, just so my airspeed isn't like going up to 175. Gives me a little bit of buffer zone, especially as we come over these mountains. There's a chance we'll have a little bit of turbulence bouncing us around, which bounces our airspeed around by probably 5 to 8 knots usually. So I just want to give myself a buffer zone. I'm going to go ahead and bring my power back just a little bit, brings our torque on down, which helps slow us down too. We'll turn it to heading mode, hit the heading button, and heading down here. And that way I can go around some of these clouds. Just 13 miles out. And at this point, what I can do, or almost 10 miles out, hit my OBS and turn to runway 07. And what that does is it shows me where the extended center line is for 07. So I'm tracking for a straight in, so I kind of know how to, I want to maybe join around 5 miles or so. I want to just maybe make a right-hand turn so I can enter into a straight in rather than coming in and like kind of cattywampus. And it's beautiful coming through these clouds like this. There we go, now we can see the airstrip, the airport. Now also, as you're descending, if you don't do much with your power, your speed's going to increase, which increases your torque as you descend, which increases your airspeed as you descend, which means you have to increase your descent profile even more. So I'm now up to 1,100 feet per minute, even though I wanted to start at 900. Now we're 5 miles. We'll be almost entering into the extended final. Madang Tower, November Tango Kilo, joining final 07. Start bringing our power out, slowing us
November
down.
Tango Kilo, caution bird strike hazard, runway 07, clear to land.
Clear to land 07, November Tango Kilo. Pull our torque.
Just a couple of hawks on the runway towards 07 in.
Understood, thanks. November Tango Kilo. To bypass, landing light is on, prop forward. 10 degrees of flaps. Power up 20 degrees, pitch for 73, and maneuver is required. 20 degrees of flaps, 5 knots of headwind, prop and harness is complete. We have got flaps to go. If you'd like to pick one of these up for your simulator or
500.
your own airplane, I've got these on my website, a link down below. A really awesome tool. Keep yourself eyes up and out and to know when you actually got everything done. All right, we'll go full flaps, checklist is complete. And they just Velcro to the whatever you want them onto, and they come with all that in the kit. Don't see, oh, there's a bunch of them up there flying around. A little bit higher up though. There are about 10 of them up there. All right, we are going to continue. Oh, nope, we got something down on the runway. Looks like he moved. Oh, that was close. Watch out, birds. I see you on the runway. We'll fly in front of me. Bunch of them all over here. My goodness. Oh, there you go. I've hit one of those once before. It banked right, I banked left. I smacked its wing, and that was the last I saw of them. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for coming along as always. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help my channel to get to new people, and feel free to share this video with any Facebook groups or whoever else you might think might enjoy it. And welcome here to Madang. Doing a bunch of maintenance on the ramp, so I'm parking down here today. See if I can park my nose wheel in that box. I can't see it now, so I'm guesstimating. Here. I have no idea. All right, guys, that's it. Proper blowers, all of our lights. See you guys next time.